Welcome to the Daily Brew podcast. At DST, we're here with Michael Cuevas, pitcher for the Nationals. San Antonio local, got drafted out of high school in 2019, 23rd round, and now he is here with us today during this off season, and he's been here for a couple of years, right?
Like 5 now, I think.
Yeah.
4 or 5 years.
So ever since the facility opened, pretty much, right?
Pretty much, yeah.
Yeah. So how has that been? Like, how cool has it been watching the facility grow? Because I was, I'm a newer guy up here, but I know that the facility at the beginning was like completely different from what it is now.
Oh yeah, definitely. I was here whenever Trey was actually working out here as a player. So
Dang.
I mean, it was fairly, that says a lot.
That's old.
As far it's definitely made leaps and bounds as far as development. I mean, yeah, we finally got 90-pound dumbbells. So
Yeah, 90-pound dumbbells. Been asking for those for a while. You
Yeah.
guys have been having to skip over that.
We're good now.
Go from 85 to the hundreds real quick.
I was never worried about it. I was good.
And then, I know that there's like been some changes in the weight room. I know that, DST has always like provided like good coaches and stuff like that. But
For sure.
what do you think that your experience has been over these 5 years? Like, who do you think has been like super impactful for your career?
It was obviously I've known Mo since high school. And I didn't get it at the time, but he was actually a really good coach, but stubborn high school stuff. And then I don't remember how exactly they got me here, because I was at some other place, and then I came in here, did a couple workouts. We had DK at the time, and I just loved his energy in the weight room, and he was really pushing for all the athletes to just break boundaries, break limits, and stuff like that. So that was really fun. It was nice to be around a lot of other pro guys too, and just everybody with the same mindset as you.
Yeah.
And then I haven't left since. It was great all around. I mean,
So
did you
start working out up here your like senior year of high school, or was it whenever you got drafted?
I think it was shortly after I was drafted.
Okay.
I want to say it was 2020. Like right in the middle-ish or end of 2020. I got in here and then never went back.
Yeah. So obviously getting drafted out of high school, it's a really big accomplishment. You're committed to UIW beforehand.
Mm-hmm.
What do you say like your process was throughout high school? How did that go? How did you talk to pro scouts? How was the UIW conversations, like stuff like that?
Yeah, it was funny because I was on JV my freshman year. I wasn't very tall, I'm still not very big, but like
Where'd you go to high
was
school?
even smaller. I went to Brennan High School.
Okay.
Way over there by SeaWorld. So freshman year I was on JV. Sophomore year, I was on varsity as a relief pitcher. I only had a couple innings, but I threw really well in those couple of innings, so I was kind of frustrated I wasn't throwing more. So I ended up just asking the coach if I could go play JV so I could at the time I was a shortstop, so I was like, I would rather go get reps and get, better and continue to get game situations versus kind of just sitting here on the bench on varsity just because it's varsity.
Yeah.
I didn't really see the point in it. So halfway through the year, I went down to JV. And I mean, I had a lot of fun. Obviously, getting to play every day is a lot better than kind of sitting down doing nothing. But I wasn't throwing hard yet. And then sophomore to junior, I kind of got a little bit of a bump. I hit a little growth spurt, but I still wasn't. I think my junior year, all I did was DH. I think that's when Mo was over there too. All I did was DH, but I mean, I'm not mad about it at all. I would just sit next to the coaches and kind of just learn the game, see how they're seeing certain situations and where the play is, and kind of just growing my knowledge of it. So even there, it was just kind of seeing what ways I could get better, even though I'm not on the field every inning.
Yeah.
And
That's
then
kind of funny. You went from DH to
now you're a pitcher. Yeah. Yeah.
I like that.
It was a really interesting turnaround.
Yeah. So junior year DH, and then what's going on after that? Sorry.
Summer going into senior year, I went to North Carolina for like part of a travel team. My pitching coach kind of hooked it up with them. It was with 5 Star. I think they're big on the East Coast.
Mm-hmm.
So I went there. I was like 88, 89. I was trying to get looks at some colleges. They said all I had to do was hit 90, and I don't think I did. I think I was just sitting 89.
Yeah.
Um, and then I ended up getting a call from Rio Grande Valley while I was over there, and I was like, "Ugh, I didn't have to come to North Carolina. I could have just drove a couple hours south and
Yeah.
been right in front of them." So we went down there for a camp. My dad took me down there, and I think I threw 8 pitches in their little scrimmage thing. I threw 8 pitches. I threw like 3 or 4 fastballs. They got a hitter in there, and they said, "You're only throwing fastballs again." And I was like, "Well, now he knows what's coming. Like
Yeah.
what?" And it was still like hard for him to keep up with the hitters. So after those other 4 fastballs, they just pulled me off the field right then and there, and took me in and offered me. So that was really interesting. That was the first time
Yeah.
that happened. I wasn't really getting looked at before that. Um, so then that happened. I ended up committing to them like roughly a week later. Um,
The UTRGV.
yeah, to
Oh, nice.
RGV, I committed. Well, they took me in there right during that bullpen,
Uh,
and they just had the scholarship thing lined out, ready to go. They said like we could
yeah.
sign you today if you're fine with that. And they were D1, so obviously I was interested,
Mm-hmm.
but I still took a couple days, and I mean, I don't want to say I was rushed into that process, but it felt like I didn't have time to really sit on it. Like I felt like they just really wanted to sign me then and there, which
Yeah.
I understand
Yeah.
because, as a college, you want someone, but I felt like I committed a little bit earlier than I should have
Mm.
as far as kind of rushing that decision. So then I ended up going down for a visit, and I wasn't the biggest fan of the campus
Yeah.
for what for what I wanted to be like studying and doing. It just
Mm.
kind of didn't really fit the mold for what I was looking for.
Yeah.
So then I end up having to make that call of like, yo, like I'm sorry, but I'm decommitting, and then having that conversation was interesting.
Yeah.
Um, and then after that, I don't know. I think it was that summer still. I get a call from UTSA, and then that coach ends up going to watch a couple games, and he likes it too. So I went on a visit there, made sure I liked the campus first. It was
Yeah.
down the street, so I had the luxury of going there right then and making sure I actually enjoy it, and I loved it. The campus was amazing,
Yeah.
and the offer wasn't as great as RGV's, but I mean I could make up for it from like living at home and all of that. So it was definitely doable, but based off of the mistake I made with RGV, I kind of held off a little bit.
Mm.
And then come, I think it was playoffs senior year.
Yeah.
Um, Playoffs senior year. There was a couple of JUCOs mixed in between there. I want to say it was like right when the baseball season started for
Yeah,
high
but at
school.
this point, you're starting to get your feel on the mound. You're starting to
Yeah,
throw a little bit harder. The velo's ticking up, and then now now you have the confidence from other schools actually talking to
yeah,
you and whatnot. And so, senior year playoff time, you're actually probably have a little bit more swag behind you.
yeah, just a little bit.
Yeah,
I mean, we were that senior year. We had I want to say like 12 or 13 seniors that
yeah,
have all been together since sophomore year
yeah,
on varsity. So we meshed really well. We all kind of knew what we needed out of one another. And then I want to say we started out 13 or 14 and 0.
hmm
Um,
High
and
school
then
season. That's pretty much like
yeah, that
half of the
was
season.
over half the
Yeah,
season. And I was throwing really well. I think our every other game I was going almost complete, if not the full.
yeah,
Um, and then I actually lost us our first game. That was that was not fun. I was so upset. And
yeah,
then on the way out, my dad was like, "What are you hanging your head about?" Like whatever. I was like, "I
mm,
just lost us the game." Like, what do you
yeah,
mean? I gave up the 2 runs. Like that's not gonna play. And then he handed me this little form that had the Nationals logo on top, and it was basically just inviting me to like a showcase. So I was like, "Huh." And then that's when it kind of started to click. Where I was like, it's a possibility.
yeah,
Um, and obviously, me not being very big, like I knew I had room for projectability.
yeah, for
So
sure.
as long as I kind of did what I'm used to there and just did what I can, I think it came out really fun. And then UIW offered me a very solid scholarship, so I ended up committing there. I liked the coach a lot. I really wanted to play for him. I was upset when like it came down to picking sides, but I'll get to that in a second.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, it was great. I love the UIW campus. It's really nice for what I
Yeah, I've been
wanted to
over there a
study
couple
and what I
times. It's
wanted to
sick.
do. Like, yeah, it's super nice. Um, so then I end up going to that draft showcase,
Hmm.
and I threw from outfield. They told me to just do everything. So I was like, okay, I didn't do infield because I mean, there's some really good guys there.
Yeah.
So I was like, yeah, no, I'm not. I'm not. I was like, I'm gonna do outfield. I talked it over with my dad. I was like, I'm gonna do outfield, and I'm just gonna throw it as hard as I can from right field to third base.
Yeah.
Like, I don't care where it goes. I'm just gonna throw it as hard as I can. And I went last, and it was kind of funny because you got this little. I think I was 17.
Hmm.
I was 17, so everybody there, it was high school and college guys that they were looking at drafting. So you had all these really big, actual right fielders and actual
Yeah.
center fielders and like the bigger high school guys, and they were like yelling out the numbers, how showcases
Yeah. Yeah.
go. And it
Yeah.
was like, oh, 94, 93. And I was like, I think in my pull downs, I've hit like 98, 99. So
Yeah.
like, we'll see.
You
And I'm
just
just going to
grip it
throw
and
it as
rip
hard
it.
as I
Yeah.
can. Yeah. And I had my infield glove.
Uh-huh.
So it was already, I don't think I caught a single pop fly that they hit. They hit ground balls, and I think I got one of those.
Yeah.
But the two fly balls they hit, I dropped both of them because I was like,
Yeah.
I wasn't worried about that. I dropped it, I picked it up off my back foot, threw one, and they said 97, and I was like, okay,
Yeah.
I can work with that. And then the next one, it was the same thing. It like popped out of my glove, grabbed it, took like a little shuffle,
Hmm.
and it was like 98, and I was like, okay, yeah, we're good there. Then the next one was kind of the same thing, and then that's when they do that whole like, what's your name? Where do you go to school?
Yeah. Yeah.
And so I got that right after the outfield portion. And then it was my turn to go on the mound. And you could kind of just see like a couple of like the main guys there kind of rotating, moving around. Like a
Yeah.
couple went
Start to gather
behind.
up. Hmm.
Yeah, a couple went behind the little turtle thing. And then there was like one or two behind me. And I guess I was throwing hard. I have no idea. Um, I think my mom had a video, and I think on like the third or fourth pitch, I cut my middle finger. So like in the video, you can see me just kind of like
Yeah.
flicking off a
Yeah.
little bit of blood or whatever. Um, and then yeah, I just kept throwing as hard as I could, throwing everything. Obviously, slider was go to. I think they liked that a lot. And then the last like two pitches, one of the scouts was like how hard are you like effort wise? And I was like, I mean, I'm trying to throw strikes, but like
Hmm.
I have something behind it. And he was like, just throw this ball as hard as you can and don't worry about where it goes. Like
Yeah.
I really don't care where it goes. Throw it half foot at the backstop if you need to. Just throw it as hard as you can.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, that's weird. Like I was never told that before. It was
Uh-huh.
always location over everything.
Yeah.
Um, so I did it. I threw as hard as I could. Somehow went right down the middle, and I think they had it at like 95 ish.
Yeah.
Which I mean, 17, 155 pounds. Like
Yeah.
it was
Obviously
pretty solid. Yeah,
projectability there too.
yeah. I
Yeah.
didn't know I had that in the tank until he told me to just rip it. So
Yeah. With a cut
um,
finger and you're amped
yeah,
up and you have all these
I
coaches.
was wired.
Yeah.
I was like, yeah, sure, I'll do it. And then after that, they kind of pulled me off to the side and just kind of had that basic conversation of like, when you graduate, this and that, just asking for all my info. They asked to like point my dad out in the stands, I guess,
Hmm.
for another projectability. My dad's a heftier guy, so
Yeah.
um, they could kind of see like, okay, you're already taller, like you could probably throw some weight on you. Like, okay, yeah. And they're like, we might be calling you. If we do, it'll be on day 3.
Hmm.
I was like, okay, yeah, sure. I wasn't really expecting much, to be honest, just because high school kids don't really go that often.
Yeah, but it had to be like
Oh, it was
a
sweet.
feeling,
It was sweet.
just
Yeah.
because like and I was talking about this with Ryan a little bit too on last episode, but it's like everybody wants to be wanted.
Oh
Like
yeah.
whenever you go to a school, you don't want to go somewhere where like you have a coach that doesn't have full faith in you. You want to go somewhere where they're trying to say like, hey, we want to write your name down, we want
Yeah,
you here.
absolutely.
And so like being able to have that feeling and that expectation coming from a pro ball team had to be pretty cool.
Yeah, no, it was awesome, especially because I only had a couple. I think I had 3 D1 offers, and then two or three JUCO offers.
Yeah.
And they were really good JUCOs. Like if I didn't go to the draft, I probably would have went JUCO.
Mm.
But I mean, in my eyes, it just kind of like, if it came down to it, I was like, I don't see why I wouldn't go. Like,
Yeah, for sure.
it's not like I have a big name D1 where I could potentially get drafted earlier. So it was like,
Mm.
yeah, there was just a lot that went into that decision. We can get to that.
Yeah, so just let's walk through that part and just like tell me about draft day and like, what day did they actually take you on? I know 23rd round, so
Yeah.
did you have an agent at that
No,
point?
no, I
No.
had no
So no
agent.
agent, you're just kind
It
of
was
like
just,
in it by yourself, you,
yeah,
your family there, and
yeah.
then
No, no,
no.
actually, no. So
Yeah, tell me.
I I don't want to say I was unconfident that I was going to get drafted because like I filled out the questionnaire thing,
Yeah,
they asked when you think you should get drafted or
I've only ever
whatever.
heard about those. So
Yeah. And they it's just like a bunch of realism, like, your basic. It's
yeah,
honestly the same stuff you see in video games. And, I think
yeah,
one of the questions was like, do you return the shopping cart when you finish grocery shopping? I was like, yeah, who doesn't? I didn't think I didn't think that much into it.
yeah.
Um, and then I actually forgot about the draft. Like
Hmm.
I obviously knew day one who went first,
Yeah.
I knew the Nats first round pick, like stuff like that, but I forgot to keep up with it. And then I don't remember exactly what day it was, but it was day 3 of the draft. And I think I had school that morning.
Hmm.
But it was like a half day because we were doing our final, so it was the very end of the school year. And I went to Chick-fil-A to get breakfast or
Yeah.
get food.
Yeah.
Um, and then
The Lord's
I had
fast
just
food.
yeah, I had just finished eating my chicken nuggets,
Yeah.
and then I got a call from his number, and I just kind of like, I was like, oh, I forgot that's today.
Hmm.
I was like, huh. So then I just answered it. He said, like, congrats, the Nationals took you in the 23rd round. Like, we're excited to see you. Like, we'll work out the details later, but like, yeah, we drafted you, and just hung up, and I was just standing there, like, huh. That's
Sorry, I think out of the
that's
corner of my eye,
interesting.
I just saw Jaden
Yeah,
almost die.
yeah.
if
I heard it.
if they're watching it on YouTube,
Yeah, I
be
heard
heads
it.
up in the bullpens in the back.
Yeah.
So anyway, you get the call. They took you, and you're just like in shock.
Yeah, no,
Yeah.
I couldn't even really process what he said before like
Yeah.
my high school coach called me and then my select coach called me and I was like, how do y'all even know? Like, are y'all
Yeah.
actually watching
Yeah.
the
They were
draft?
watching the live.
Yeah, I was like, I feel bad because like I forgot it was that day, but yeah, no, it was awesome. And then um yeah, it just came down to like they called me again later, like that day or the next day, and it was like, are you seriously interested in like coming like this and that. And I was like, yeah, no, absolutely. I'm sold on the draft. Like as long as the numbers look right
Hmm.
and I get certain things like school taken care of, then yeah, absolutely. I'm interested.
Yeah.
Um, and then yeah, I just decided to take it. Did he get it?
Yeah, that's got it. That's on the. That's
There it
gonna
is.
that's gonna be on the. That's gonna be
That's on
clipped.
DST's TikTok for sure.
That's gonna be clipped. Jaden just dying.
Oh yeah,
Oh no!
looks like an ankle.
Goodness gracious! Yeah.
That'll do it.
Yeah. That's awesome though. So whenever you're like actually thinking about the draft and you got all those finer details worked out and stuff like that, like how pumped was your family? How pumped were you like to know that
Oh yeah.
I know that me and you have talked a little bit about school before, and like in all honesty, like if I didn't go to school to play baseball, then I have no idea if I would have gone to school or not. Like it's you know, my wife is the academic
Yeah, for
person,
sure. That's
and
normally how it
and
goes
me
with
it's just
baseball
like
players.
yeah, I worked really hard for what I could do, but my favorite phrase that I like will never forget was my JUCO coach. Like kids would go up and ask him to take a test to be like, hey, I got to go take a test. I'm gonna miss the first half of practice and cleaning it up a little bit. My coach would be like, did you come here to play baseball or play school?
Yeah,
So
honestly,
anyway, get
that's
get
why.
to get to the
So I
draft and
wouldn't have
like all
minded
that.
JUCO.
Yeah.
So it was funny. Excuse me.
Yeah.
It was funny because I remember talking to my dad about it. Like when stuff kind of started, like we're like, hey, this is an actual possibility. Like I was like, I should just get drafted out of high school. That way I don't have to go to college. Cause like I'm not bad at school. Like I think I'm decently smart.
Yeah.
I just really like, I think it would have been different in college because then I'm actually like working towards something that I want to do. But
Mm,
at least for me in high school, it was really hard to focus. Like my favorite subject was math, and then like English, I just kind of couldn't really
yeah.
get behind it. It just wasn't that interesting to me. Um, Obviously, I still did it. I was still top 7%. So
Hmm. Not
try
bad.
in school,
Yeah, not
but
bad.
yeah, try in school, but um, yeah, no, college just really seemed like a route that I would take if I needed to,
Well,
but
yeah, I
a
mean,
lot
it's
better one would have been getting drafted.
well,
So
yeah. Whenever you're in your position, it's like, of course, everybody always says has a like have a plan B, have this, but like I've heard other people kind of talk. It's like, of course, the famous thing is like Derek Jeter saying like there was never a plan B, you know,
yeah, mine. I
and
think I don't remember who said it, but it was Plan A never fails if there's like no Plan B or something like
yeah,
that. Like kind of like a burn your bridges
yeah,
mindset. So
yeah, and I think that that's like admirable in a way because you had faith in yourself and you had
yeah,
confidence in your abilities and in any sport like you can't walk around and not be this cocky person.
yeah,
Like of course you
no,
like I think
absolutely.
that you're extremely humble, especially the way you carry yourself around here, but like
It's different in
every
between the
every guy,
lines.
yeah,
In
every
between the
guy has
lines,
a
you're the
they
best person there
they
is
engage the
for that spot.
mechanism.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Um, yeah,
So college just would have been like a stepping stool for you
pretty
because like
much.
that seems like it would be the mindset because now you have the confidence that the nationals are interested. So who else could be interested?
Yeah.
And college just would have been like a tier that was just the
College,
next step.
college, in my opinion, I talked a lot about it with my dad because
Mm,
obviously we had UIW, really good school. Like I could have got my degree during my time being there, and
yeah, private school
still
education.
whatever. Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. Um, but it came down to like, what is the ultimate goal?
Hmm.
And I said, obviously to make MLB, like that's, what we're trying to do here. That's why I've been playing baseball since I was like 3 years old. Like
Yeah.
there was that ultimate goal in mind, and he was like, okay, you have the opportunity to start that now.
Mm,
Like you could put yourself on a completely different level right now to do that, or you could go to college and try to throw well and try to get drafted higher and not get hurt in the process and this and that just to make more money.
yeah.
And I was like, okay, like I'm confident in myself. If the ultimate goal wasn't to make money, the ultimate goal was to make MLB. And I wasn't too worried about the draft money. Luckily, my dad worked hard enough in his career that I didn't really have to work or do any of that or like try and provide for myself.
Yeah.
So I was like, okay, I could just commit to it now, start now at 17
Hmm.
versus coming out of college at 21, 22 and being at square one. Like that's just time lost in my opinion. So
Yeah. Because now you have, you know,
yeah,
a couple of years under your belt
yeah, I'm
already.
going into year 6 if you count the COVID year. I'm
Yeah.
going into year 6 younger than
And
some of the
you're
guys we draft out of
23,
college.
24.
22.
20, yeah. I
Yeah.
mean, six
Um,
going on year 6 at 22 years old,
yeah.
and you still have the projectability. You still
Hmm.
have the arm action. Like whenever I watch you throw, you have your tall, lanky 3/4 slot. Your ball
Hmm.
has like a stupid amount of life.
Yeah.
And then whenever I even caught you that one time,
Yeah.
whenever I was catching you, your slider's disgusting. I mean, like
It's the
six
bread and butter.
years, yeah, 6 years. It's like whenever you go to the next level in anything, it's like you're trying to get those reps in. You're trying to see. Of course,
Hmm.
the game goes faster each and every single step, right?
Yeah.
And so now you've already like gotten to this tier, which is pro ball, where the
Yeah.
game is fast.
Yeah. It
And
was.
now you have 6 years of still that climb under your belt, and
Yeah.
that's
It
pretty
was.
sick.
It was great. Yeah. No, it's funny you say that because going from high school, I'm not bashing on Texas high school baseball in any way, but like it's nothing compared to pro ball. Like
No, of course
you
not.
have
I mean, that'd be.
um
I hope
yeah,
that's any high
yeah,
school
I
baseball.
hope so. Yeah. And we have our Latin guys that we draft from the other countries that throw 95 plus, and they're also the same age as me. And then
Yeah.
you have the other hitters that, I mean, it just sounds different off of everybody's bat. Now better college hitters are like your 7, 8, 9 hitters in pro ball. So it
Yeah.
was, being 17. Like I also signed at 17. My dad had to co-sign my contract with me
Wow.
because I wasn't legal
Yeah.
to sign it myself.
Yeah.
And it was really kind of nerve-wracking at first. I didn't really know like what I could and couldn't do and how I should and shouldn't act and this and that.
Yeah.
Um, and I remember like the first outing I had, I was nervous. Like I was kind of shaking a little bit. I was like,
Mhm.
oh, like this is gonna be like how I'm remembered for X amount of time. Like as it either went really well or went really bad. And
Yeah.
I guess one of the other college guys that was freshly drafted too, he was from Curacao actually.
Mhm.
He was like, "You up next?" And I was like, "Yeah, yeah." Like, I got the next inning. He was like, "Just do your thing. Like you wouldn't be here if they didn't want you to do what you were already doing." And I was like, "You're right.
Yeah.
You're absolutely right. Like hitting's hard. Why am I making it easier for him? Just
Mhm.
go out there and throw. And if I face three guys, the best case scenario, one of them's gonna get a hit.
Yeah.
So that's all right. We can work with that." And then my first hitter was a 3-pitch strikeout. That was
Confidence through the
oh
roof
yeah,
now.
yeah, absolutely. It was through
Yeah,
the roof.
surge of energy going.
Um, and then I think the second hitter got like it was either the first or second pitch single. Third hitter got a line out to right field
Yeah.
and like another 2 pitches. And then the last dude, I think on the first pitch, grounded out to second base. I was done. So I think in my first pro
Under
ball
10
outing, I
pitches.
threw like nine or 10
Yeah.
pitches, and they were like, "That's it, you're done." And then I was kind of like still amped up. I was like shaking a little bit. I was like, "That's it."
Probably
And they were
wired
like,
off some caffeine
"Yeah,
too, and
just
the adrenaline that just happened.
yeah, everything." And I was like, "Okay, thanks." They were like, "Great job." I was like,
Yeah. Yes,
"Okay,
sir.
yeah, thanks." And then just went and sat down, took my spikes off, put my shoes on, and I was like, "Huh, that went well.
Yeah.
That went well." And then every outing after that went fairly well. I don't want to brag, but like I had a 0 up until the last game I played in
Wow.
my rookie year as a reliever. So it went really
That's
well.
sick.
Yeah, it went really well. Um, and there's certain moments where I feel like as a younger guy, especially a high school guy, they just try to put you in situations to see
How you act.
what you can handle, how
Mhm.
mature you are, how you can act. And I remember one specifically where I came in the I think it was the eighth inning or it was the ninth. I think no, it was the ninth inning
Mhm.
because I had a 2 inning stint. It was the ninth inning. Um, we were tied and I went out, got my 3 outs, was done, and then we went to the 10th. And in the 10th in pro ball now, they had just implemented the ghost runner on second. So they were like, "Are you good to go out for 10?" I was like, "Yeah, no, I'm fine, I'm good."
Yeah.
And then so we go out there and the first hitter puts a bunt, gets a single off of it. It's first and third,
Yeah.
no outs. So I was like, okay, that's not ideal. Like you got to go infield in to cut him down at home. Like
Yeah.
you can't let him score, obviously. Um, and then my manager ends up intentionally walking the next guy. So now
Mhm.
I have bases loaded, no outs, and I'm just
In the
a
10th inning.
17-year-old, 18-year-old kid, and I was like, huh.
Yeah.
Well, this isn't going to be
This
on me
sucks.
if we lose. Like
Yeah.
I'm not going to be. We'll take this to 14 innings, but I'm not going to be the one that loses this game for us. Like there's no way.
Yeah.
So I just kind of like took a second. This was before the clock was there, so I kind of went behind the mound, looked around. I was like, okay, we got bases loaded, no outs. What do we have? And I think it was righty. So I was like, okay, I can work with that.
Mhm.
Um, all right. So and I wasn't a big strikeout guy. I never really have been. In high school, it's different because it's
Yeah.
just velo, but in pro
Yeah.
ball, it's I was like, all right, not a big strikeout guy. I think I only had like 8 or 9 up to that point in like 13 innings. So
Mhm.
it was kind of just below average. So I was like, okay, I need a ground ball or a shallow fly ball.
Yeah.
And then I just kind of saw his warm up swing. So I was like, okay, like we're going to shoot for like a shallow fly ball somewhere. Maybe we can try and double him off. If they want to score, if they want to try and go home on a shallow fly ball, we can work with that.
Yeah.
I'll take that all day. So I get the shallow fly ball to center. My center fielder had a cannon of an arm. They didn't test him. So I was like, okay, we're good. One out, for base is still loaded.
Yeah.
Now I just need a double play. Same thing. I think another righty comes in, and I think within like 2 or 3 pitches, we got him roll over to short,
Hmm.
and I had so much confidence in our middle infielders or my middle infielders that whole year. So I started walking off the field, which I guess makes sense. Like we either won or lost in that second. So it's
Yeah.
like, okay, yeah, I started walking off the field, didn't look at anything behind me. I trusted them to get it done, and they made it happen. We got the double play, got out of there, and they said like, yeah, no, you're good, like whatever. And I think that kind of showed them that maturity level of like being able to stay calm in that situation,
Yeah.
and also the confidence to just be like, nah, it wasn't going to be me losing that game if we did lose,
Yeah. I
for
would
sure.
say that that showed like that. First of all, it showed your composure.
Hmm.
At such a young age, being able to actually control your emotions and being able to like take that gather, being able to look around. You were, had knowledge of the game. You knew what you were trying to get done. And then it also shows like your competitiveness. You
Hmm.
went up there and you're like, this isn't going to be me. Like,
Yeah,
this isn't how I'm going to
absolutely.
be thought of.
Yeah,
You,
I
you know?
wasn't going to be my first year there as, this young kid. Like, nah, I was not going to have that on me.
Yeah, that's
Um,
sick stuff. But
hmm.
I know that obviously, like, since Trevi works out up here, like, obviously he's a guy that takes people under their wing.
Yeah,
I know that, like, all the pitchers up here absolutely love the fact that he's here because he provides so much input, and
yeah.
because he's a big leaguer, like, you respect his opinion so much, and like you actually listen to what he has to say, and he knows how your stuff plays compared to like how somebody that's pitching on TV every single day plays. So, I know that he's caught, for you a couple times and stuff
Mhm.
like that. How do you like having him up here? How do you think the atmosphere changes? Like, how do you like having other guys that are probably at different levels than you up here? Like, walk us through that a little bit.
Yeah, no, that's one of my favorite parts, honestly. Because I feel like as a pitcher, you need a catcher with confidence,
Hmm.
because then that just makes you that much better. So like, not to bash on any of the college guys because they're great. I mean, they catch us well, but it's a lot different when you have somebody like Trevi there who just knows like the tiny quirks to get you to kind of hit spots just a little bit better than a college kid would, which
Yeah,
I mean, as expected.
and he's just such a student of the game, in my
Yeah, so
opinion.
like, if you're struggling with your slider and you're like trying to get it down in a way as a righty, like he'll set up down in a way, but he'll flash the glove over here just to give you a target on where to start it.
Hmm.
And it's just little stuff like that that helps you out as a pitcher that I mean is just next level stuff. Um, for me personally, like the thing I remember most is I was straight four seam up until 2022.
Hmm.
And in 2022, like the Nets said with my arm slot and like how I manipulate the ball, I should start looking into throwing like sinkers or two seams. And that year was a rough year. It was a struggling year because I just could not find the feel for that pitch.
Yeah.
But they had a lot of confidence and they just kind of let me struggle, which I think is huge for my development because they were like, we know it's probably not going to go well. You're going to walk a good amount of guys, but like you need to commit to throwing this sinker so that when you do feel it, and it comes to you like it'll be that much better
Yeah,
and
it's going to change your
easier.
game.
Yeah. So I still didn't have quite the feel for it yet at the end of that year. So this would have been last off season.
Hmm.
Um, and Trevi, I threw a bullpen to Trevi come like right around spring training time. And he was like, "Why are you kind of bouncing around so much?" And I was like, "Well, because I want to tunnel.
Yeah.
That's was my big thing is, oh, I want to tunnel, this fastball or this sinker with this changeup, and then I'm going to bounce over and throw this four seam with this slider, and then
Yeah.
I want to go slider changeup, just tunneling a lot of stuff in game scenario. And he was like, that's not the wrong idea, but he helped me out. And he was like, how about you just throw, four sinkers in this spot every time, and then you get your four, and then you move on. Now we go to three fastballs over there, three sliders, two more sinkers, two more changeups, and it helped me develop so much more feel for all of my pitches. Because if you have the feel for all of them, then you can mix them up whenever you want. But like if I'm struggling to throw a good sinker and then I'm bouncing away from it right away and throwing another bad changeup, well then
Hmm.
that doesn't help me at all. Versus like if I throw four sinkers in a row and get the feel for it, then I know I can throw a changeup and come back to the sinker and still have feel for it. So
Yeah.
that was the biggest part um, that helped me the most. and kind of getting better with control stuff. And then this year, it wasn't a terrible year, but I know I can do a lot better. It was just figuring out how to perfect that sinker profile because
Yeah.
I'd throw some that were just two seams. I would throw some that wouldn't even two seam a lot. It would kind of just barely drift over, and then I'd throw some sinkers that were really good. So it was just finding that really good sinker
Yeah.
over the year. And then I think obviously this off season it's gotten a lot better. So I'm excited for this spring training.
That's sick that you just like you went in, you attacked, you proved yourself, and now this organization that you're with is giving you so many opportunities and stuff like
Yeah.
that. I think that that's really cool.
Yeah, no, it was great. I actually went in as a reliever and I was just so efficient, like all of my innings. I think if you pull it up, I want to say my stats, like pitches per inning, my rookie year were like eight,
Mm-hmm.
8 or 9 maybe.
Which is incredible.
Yeah, it was just filling up the zone. Whatever
Yeah.
happens, happens. Kind of
Yeah.
going from there. And then my 2021 season, I was in low A. So I got out of rookie ball, went to low A, and the first outing I had there was, I think it was a 4.2 scoreless relief appearance.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I think I gave up like one hit, and I did it. What was it? 4.2. I think I did it in like 40 pitches, 43 pitches.
Jeez.
So it was, yeah, extremely efficient. So
Yeah.
then ever since then, I started, and they're like, okay, yeah, you're gonna start. And I was supposed to start the home opener because that was the first week of rookie ball.
Yeah.
And I was supposed to start the home opener on Tuesday at the brand new stadium for Fredericksburg.
Mm-hmm.
And then I got COVID, so I had to go down. I had to go down to
Jeez.
Florida, which honestly I don't think was as bad as it sounds, just because I got to go down to Florida and kind of build back up, but build up as a starter
Yeah.
and kind of learn from there. So I had a couple outings down in Florida as a starter. I went back up, and I think I relieved like once or twice, just waiting for like a spot to open up for starting. And then once we sent somebody up to high A, then I took over that starting spot.
Yeah.
And then since then, I've just been starting. And
This was last year?
his favorite. No, this was 2021.
Oh, okay.
So I was still kind of new to starting in 2022 when they gave me that sinker.
Yeah.
So I think it was just a mix of I had went up a level. This is my first full year starting, and now I just kind of had to get rid of my fastball that I've known for 5 6 years or however long I've been pitching at the time to learning a completely different pitch that I think the numbers are for starters are like you have to throw fastball like at least 35 40% of the time
Yeah.
to let your other off speeds play. So I mean I was going up facing hitters and it was like, all right, here's a two seam that I don't know is going to do, and then it's
Mm-hmm.
1-0. And I'm like, okay, well, I have to try and get back in the count to do it again. Okay, here's 2-0. And then, I mean, I think the only reason I didn't do worse was because I had really good feel for my slider. So when I did get to that point, sometimes I would just throw three in a row and
Yeah.
just be done with it.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, that was another thing for me that kind of opened my eyes where they were like, our pitching coordinator came in and was like, you're young, like you might not see the vision with it yet, but like we need you to get this sinker down. So
Yeah.
just keep throwing it and keep trusting it. And like when you get the feel, like it's gonna be a game changer. And now that I do have the feel for it, I can see where it's all kind of coming together. And um, yeah, they told me like when I got drafted, it was gonna be a long-term project thing.
Yeah.
So that was the other worry was being such a late round pick. Like I didn't know how much leeway I'd have in that, but yeah, no, it's been
Well, it
really,
seems like it's played so far.
yeah,
You know.
it's been really really important too.
Where did you end the year last year?
I ended in double A. I was in double A all year.
Yeah. Awesome. And then so how do you think that the off season went up here? And then what are your goals for this upcoming year? What do you think that you're going to be doing?
I mean, you have to keep learning the game. The older you, or like the higher levels the more levels you go up, you really have to keep learning the game, and it's a different way to pitch at every level, and
Yeah.
especially like double A, you're facing all of these hitters that are debuting, weeks after you face them, and it was like, yeah,
Yeah.
I remember him. He was pretty good. So it's learning how to pitch to specific hitters rather than just like a team's approach.
Mm-hmm.
Learning what swings are induced by what, and what takes look like, and what are good takes, what are bad takes, just a bunch of stuff like that.
This off season, like I feel like that for me personally, like I've seen the strides that you made in the weight room.
Hmm.
This is my first off season with you. Like I didn't really have a baseline for you other than
Yeah.
week 1 or 2, that I
Yeah.
first saw
Yeah.
you. But it seems like that you handle your business like a professional. I've seen the weight gains that you've made in the weight room.
Mhm.
I mean, like you were split squatting like 405, so
Yeah.
that's pretty nuts. But I think that you've handled your business on that end, but how do you feel personally that the off season went like in this facility? How do you think the weight training went? How do you like the atmosphere of all the pitchers here? How did Trey handle his stuff? What did
Yeah.
all that look like for you this
No,
off
I
season?
mean it was great. Honestly, if you ask me, I think it was some of the best that it's been. Um, it's also some of the most pro guys that we've had here.
Yeah,
Um, so I mean, Evan's great with his programming and stuff. Um, he definitely made sure it catered to what we needed specifically. And I really enjoy that because obviously, me and Craig aren't going to have the same type of stuff
yeah.
because,
Craig being 6'1", 6'2", 230 pounds, probably
yeah. So
a position player turned pitcher. So
yeah, I'm just really glad it wasn't just a basic like, okay, we're all going to do the same thing when it's like,
yeah,
don't get me wrong, I don't mind doing speed work, but I'm a lot faster person,
yeah,
like just a quick twitch, so I feel like I need to work on the strength part and then I know the speed will be there and then, just vice versa for other bigger people who
yeah.
know the strength is there but need the speed. So I'm really happy with the way Evan handles that. And then as far as Trey goes with the pitching development side, I think it's been awesome. Obviously, getting the TrackMan was huge, and helping everybody be able to be a lot more consistent with their pitches. Like it's a different game when you can throw a pitch and have an idea of what you felt
Mm-hmm.
versus you can throw a pitch, think, oh, I felt this way, and then you look at it and you see it's a completely different pitch, and you're like, okay, yeah, now I know that that's what caused that. So, and then just finding different cues until you can look at the numbers and see consistency and find one that works.
Yeah, it seems like to me that you almost can't have a pitching department without a TrackMan now
Yeah,
because like
it's
I saw how they ran it in the fall, right? I
yeah,
saw how they
yeah,
ran it in the summer, and everything was great. I mean, we have a gun built in, whatever, and of course, like Trey has a great eye. Daryl that used to work up here has a great eye. Jaden has a great eye. Like all these
yeah,
people know what they're talking about, but actually being able to see the amount of data that comes from a TrackMan's like
yeah.
nuts.
I mean,
And I think that like because I know that Evan talks to like everybody's strength coaches. I know that Trey talks to y'all's pitching directors, coordinators, like stuff like that.
mhm,
And for him to be able to have access to that data and be able to relay like accurate information for everybody, I feel like
yeah.
that's a next level thing.
I mean, as far as like high school or youth or anything younger than that goes, I don't think it's really
Yeah, it's
necessary.
not do or
I
die.
think the only thing you really need is maybe a radar gun,
Mm,
just so you can see progressions you're making based off of like what work you're putting in. But once you get to like a collegiate and pro level, I think you really do need either a rap soda or a TrackMan just
yeah,
to build that consistency. Because I mean, in high school, I could throw a fastball in the bottom right corner, probably six, 7 times out of 10. And if you want me to be honest, they probably none of them were the same pitch. They were
yeah,
just in the same spot. So
yeah,
like I would cut one, I would sink one, I would throw just a regular four seam on one of them, but I was just worried about the spot. So and once you get to like a pro ball level, like you gotta know what your pitch is gonna do 99% of the time. Like
yeah,
if I'm having an off day, that can affect what my pitch is doing because that happened a couple of times this year where I would not be feeling great, feel a little sore, just tired or something, and it would affect the way my pitches moved to a point where it was harder to throw strikes. And then that's when you kind of realize that you need that consistency and that feel so that, the only thing that might get affected on a day when you're a little sore or whatever is your velo might be down, 1 mile an hour, two
yeah,
miles an hour, but
yeah. But at
you can
least you
still
see the
compete.
profile.
Yeah, you can still compete with your pitches because,
Yeah,
I mean, especially being a sinker ball guy, if I'm 90, 91 instead of 92, 93, 94, like it's a difference, but it's still a sinker. It's still really hard to hit. So if I know what it's doing every time, I can still compete.
Yeah.
Versus, if I'm down 3 miles an hour and also
You have
my
no
pitch
idea.
is a completely different
Yeah.
pitch, then it just makes for a not fun time at all.
Yeah, for sure.
Um, but yeah, no, the TrackMan definitely helps with that.
That's awesome. And then I know that you were kind of like talking to me a little bit before this about Mo. Like, how do you think that over this past 5 years, like, how do you think that like he's influenced you? Like, how do you think that,
He,
uh, you know, I know that he handles his business well, but
yeah.
give me your thoughts.
So when he might not like me. When we had him in high school, it was for me, obviously being I was like 15, 16
Yeah,
when I had him. So just a stubborn high school kid.
yeah,
Um, and it was really tough because we knew he knew what he was talking about,
mhm,
but there were certain times when like we'd take ground balls or whatever, and he just like yells at you, not yells like that, but he's just like, "Hey, touch the fence,"
yeah,
and you don't know why.
yeah,
Like you don't know what you did wrong. There was no like explanation really for it. So we just go touch the fence, come back, and we're all talking amongst each other in the line.
yeah.
Like, what'd you see? Like, was it my hands, like legs, like
Uh-huh.
was my head not up? Like I'm thoroughly confused. And I thought that one was my best one today.
Yeah.
So and then just he had he was teaching us like college and like he played pro in Mexico. So
Mm,
like pro level drills that we couldn't really comprehend yet. And the thing for me is I'm a big why person. Like I
yeah.
want to know why I'm doing a specific drill, like what I'm supposed to feel, because I'm a big why and feel. So like
Hmm.
why I do, you do certain movements to get in certain positions in certain situations of the game. So like I remember one drill he had us do, and it felt so dumb, and I just was not like locked into it because I was
Yeah.
like, I don't know what this is working on.
Uh-huh.
I'm not sure where this comes into play. So I didn't really buy into it until one day we were taking ground balls and I felt that exact movement and I was like, oh,
Oh.
I see, I see.
The light bulb came on.
Yeah, and it all just kind of clicked together. But I was like, it would have been nice to know that rather than just kind of like following blindly and just
Hmm.
assuming that this is what's gonna work. Um, but I think he's grown a lot since then. So like, I mean, I'm sure you've seen him with the younger guys here.
Yeah.
I can hear him explaining stuff a lot better and really figuring out how to explain it to like high school kids versus 12 to 13-year-olds versus like you're a lot younger guys that
Yeah,
need it in very basic terms. So
for
he's been
sure.
great for sure.
That's awesome. I didn't know that he had that level of grittiness in him.
Oh
I
yeah.
got to bring it out of him sometime.
Oh, play spike ball with him.
Yeah,
He'll
yeah,
show.
yeah. He humbled me already, so I do know that one. But
Yeah.
uh, what do you think that your goals are? Just kind of like wrapping up this conversation. What do you think your goals are for this upcoming season? What are you looking forward to?
Um,
What's going through your head on it?
yeah. No, I mean I'm really excited. I think everything, all the work that's been put in here is going to show. I think I'm finally at a point where I'm confident in what my pitchers are going to do and with my pitching IQ and sequencing. So I'm just really excited to go out there and have fun pitching rather than like feel like I'm constantly focusing on something different rather
Hmm.
than getting someone out
Yeah,
with what it comes down to.
it's a kid's game, man.
Yeah,
You got to keep on having
it's a
fun.
kid's game.
Yeah,
Um, and yeah, I mean, obviously, ideally, the goal is to make it, but as long as I stay healthy and do my thing and let my pitches work and trust in myself and my teammates and all of that, that it'll be a really good year.
yeah, good things are headed your way. And then I like to wrap up like conversation with something, like just random question, general question. But
Okay.
number one complaint of the podcast last time was there was no brew for the daily brew. So now you hooked us
I
up
do
with some
have a brew.
coffee. What'd you get? What are you working with right there? A little Dutch Bros action you hooked me up to. What did you get today?
I have a Dutch Bros. I think it's called a caramelizer.
Yeah.
I think it's just a caramel mocha.
There you go.
Uh, I don't really know. It looked good and it had caramel in it, so I got it.
Solid pick.
Yeah.
Hey man, well I appreciate talking to you today. I
Yeah.
wish you nothing but the best of luck. And
Thank you for
then,
having me.
I appreciate all the work that you put in here and I think that it's going to pay off and looking forward to continue to watch you do your thing this season. And then of course I hope to see you in pro ball soon. And I think that with how you handle yourself, how you've matured even this offseason, in my opinion, like how I've seen you handle your business, I think that a lot of good things are coming your way. So I'm
Appreciate it.
excited.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah, thank you
Again,
for having me.
yeah, Michael Cuevas, pitcher for the Nationals, San Antonio local. Hopefully you catch him soon on the bigs. Appreciate it.
Thank you.